Alright, so what is good, everybody on YouTube? It is your boy Jay 3 times, and we're back at it with another video. And today, guys, I am starting something different, something new. Hopefully, this is a little interesting. But I am starting a series now called Flashbacks. And in this flashback, we're going to talk about a drill instructor that shot himself in front of dozens of recruits. Ooh. Okay, so I found this article, y'all. When I first read into this, I was in shock. I was like, what? Apparently, this dates back all the way back from 1994. So yeah, it was kind of like, 2-3 decades ago. We're going to talk about what really happened, and then we'll get into the backstory leading exactly to how it happened and what happened. So yeah, let's get straight into it. One morning in October, he walked into the indoor combat training pool at Parris Island, South Carolina. He climbed on top of the diving board. He tossed his hat into the water, and he placed an M16 service rifle under his chin before 200 Marines and Marine recruits in his Marine uniform on a Marine base. Stumpf pulled the trigger. Yep. This drill instructor that shot himself was named Sergeant Richard Stumpf. And he also had a wife named Carla Stumpf. And he left behind a son as well. So we're going to read about his backstory. And yeah, she met him in high school. His wife Carla. He moved to Florida. And oh yeah, by the way, I want to say one thing before I start this backstory. Any words that I cannot pronounce or have trouble pronouncing, I will skip it entirely over it. So you'll just see what I'm trying to pronounce when I put it up on the screen here. And yeah, you'll read it yourself. I can't read it, but yeah. Anyways, yeah. He had moved to Florida with his family from Connecticut. He loved to swim and hunt seashells. He performed magic tricks. He liked movies with plenty of action and food with lots of garlic. He learned to cook and bake bread. He had a Doberman named Drock, and his father said his father, Richard E. Stumpf Sr. So apparently he was a junior. Cool. He and Carla began to date at age 15 in Florida. Like all things, he threw himself completely into their courtship. He painted "I love Carla" across his bedroom wall. He also discovered beer, fast cars, and a knack for ditching school. He graduated Riverview High only after repeating his senior year. He was looking for the biggest challenge he could find. Carla said some guns and a place to fit in. He wanted to go where he could find some adventure. And once he joined the Marines, he knew that was his destiny. Enlisting in 1988, he was sent to boot camp at Parris Island. He excelled at swimming. To toughen him up, they made him march on all fours. He loved to push his body, the building of a man, the long hours, the long march, always the challenge. He graduated 13th in a class of 85 recruits. Seemingly overnight, the kid was a Marine. A year later, he married Carla in a ceremony at the Ringley Circus Museum in Saratoga. The bridegroom in his dress uniform, but his dedication even then tilted more towards the Corps. He had her name and a rose tattooed on his left arm, but on his right shoulder, in big letters, was USMC. And below the Marine Corps, below that, the Marine Corps symbol, the Eagle Globe and Anchor. Inside Carla's wedding ring, he inscribed the Marine Corps motto, Semper Fidelis. So obviously, y'all, this drill instructor that killed himself, he was a die-hard Marine. Die-hard Marine. Which, of course, a lot of drill instructors are. And a lot of other Marines are that are not drill instructors as well, which is, of course, understandable. Yeah. We're all Marine Corps, right? Yeah. Yeah, let's continue. It was always the Marines. And Carla will often feel a second in her husband's devotion. It was a situation she would have to cope with during their long periods apart. Just a year into their marriage, he volunteered for the Persian Gulf War. And for 8 months, he served as a squad leader in the Marine infantry, but still found time to play mischievous boy in a man's war. He refused to take drugs to ward off chemical illnesses. Once his squad ran off with an Iraqi ambulance, he passed out M&Ms sent from home. He was one of the first to go, and last to come back, Carla remembered. If he hadn't served there, he would have been even more tortured. He was not afraid to die. Through my life with him, he made that clear to me and everyone. He was going to die wearing that uniform. He came home not a casualty, but a hero, nonetheless. At his parents' first church in Connecticut, he stood up in uniform to the applause of the congregation. He gave a brief speech about duty and honor, and vowed that as long as there was, I don't know, like I said, I'm not going to pronounce words I can't pronounce, so read it. In this world, he will always be Marine. He cried that day, a croc in his tough Marine armor. He wanted to be the picture-perfect Marine, said his mother, Mary Stumpf. He strove. He was never content with any particular rank. He just had to go for the next, and the next, and the next. He and Carla were separated again. He went to the U.S. Naval Base in Guatemala, Cuba, for 3 months to help to process Cuban and Haitian refugees. When he returned, they bought a house in Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. Then came another separation when he left Carla at home for a choice assignment as a drill instructor, 100 miles down the coast at Paris Island. So now we finally get to the journey of his drill instructor tour. So let's get straight into it. To make through training, he learned 75 pages of drill movement, proved himself again on the field, underwent a dozen uniform inspections, memorized countless Marine Corps rules and regulations. But the reward could be high. 2 years as a drill instructor would mean a shot at a meritorious promotion and special consideration for assignments. He will be gone all day and many nights, working, training, drilling boys into men. He will love it. The only thing I want to do is better than the Marine Corps, he told Navy Times in the interview last February. So I guess, of course, this article was, like I said, 1994. So when it says last February, I'm pretty sure this article dated back into November. So yeah, this is like November 1994. So it was like 9 months after this, I guess. But let me see where I left off at. Okay, yeah. I wanted to come here. I want to come down here and put 110% into these kids. So when they get out of the streets, they'll have a role model to look back and be able to keep that spirit of the Corps flowing through their veins. And drill school wasn't even that tough anyways. I'm not a scholar or anything, he said. I had my few beers during the week and did what I had to do. For 20 months, he was alone with his Marines. In July, his relatives attended a recruit graduation. One recruit, PFC Joseph L. Gillick, broke down in tears in front of his drill instructor. Later asked why he was so moved. Gillick barked back in Marine cadence, "That man is Sergeant Richard Stumpf. He changed my life." Carla was pregnant by then decided that in September she would move to Arcata. Like I said, I don't. All right, let's continue. To be with her mother. Like I said, I'm not gonna pronounce that. To await their first baby. Stumpf would join them on the due date. By the end of the summer, his mood began to darken. In phone conversations, he would tell Carla why he was depressed. Instead, he rambled, once suggesting that they legally separate. Several times hinting that she would have to raise the baby alone. And then he began to doubt the Marine Corps. Ooh. So I guess it's the summer of 1994. I guess is when things start to go. His attitude began to darken. Whew. Let's keep reading about this. All right, where we left off at? I'm sorry. He knew what the Marine Corps expected of him. He pushed himself even further, she said. We were talking every day. It was all about him and his state of mind. He was constantly saying he was overwhelmed. He felt he had let himself down. He said he wanted out of Paris Island. Something I never thought I'd hear from him. He called it a hellhole. Excuse my language. That's crazy. That's crazy. That's what the drill field do to you, huh? Understandable, because I ain't gonna lie to you, drill instructors get pushed to the max, bruh. They get pushed to the max and plus beyond. They get pushed to the max, what you think you can do, and way, way, way beyond. Like, oof. I take my hat off to all drill instructors out there, Parris Island, San Diego. Because drill instructor duty, whew, yeah. Let's continue. She begged him to seek counseling, but Marines masked their emotions. He was drinking more, and when only the happy-go-lucky stuff shined forth, no one's expected problems. He was very fun-loving. He liked to have fun, said Mitchell Russum, a bartender at the Port Royal pub, an after-hours spot for Parris Island Marines. She had met him in those last weeks and never once thought he was depressed. Others missed it too. On 2 occasions that I spoke with him, he said nothing, Moore said. Added Staff Sergeant Troy Stables, who once supervised Stump at Parris Island, the week before, he was fine. He was laughing and joking. On Friday, October 28th, he slammed his yellow Volkswagen Beetle into another car in Beaufort, South Carolina, near the base. He was arrested for driving while intoxicated. The incident occurred at 10:30 p.m. He told police he had 8 beers before leaving Parris Island at 4:30 and had been drinking ever since. So let's go back to, I want to go back to like what he said about him laughing and joking. Y'all, people hide depression. People hide like the fact that they could be suicidal. They hide that. They mask that, especially in the Marine Corps. Because, like I said, if Marines mask their emotions. It's true. But just because someone's laughing and smiling, just because, everything, they like, ah, ha, 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 doesn't mean they're really, looks can be deceiving is what I'm trying to say, basically. Looks can be very deceiving. So you definitely got to look at the signs, y'all. Like, look really at the signs, to see if they, if you got that partner close to you, just keep watch, man. Because, like I said, looks can be deceiving. Let's continue, y'all. At the police station, he couldn't understand the simplest directions for taking a breathalyzer test. Finally, he took a blood alcohol level of 0.22, more than double the legal limit. He was jailed overnight. Judge Person visited him the next day to set a bail. He saw a Marine at the end of his career. A retired Marine himself, Peterson knew all too well how a drunk driving charge could end a career in today's military. Looking at stuff in his cell in his orange jail jumper, rather than his shiny Marine uniform, he saw a guy who was a sergeant, who had been on the selection list for staff sergeant, who probably had once been on the right track. Stump called Carlos shortly before his release on Saturday, October 29th. He was paranoid about his Marine superiors. They're watching me, he told her. They're waiting for me to screw up, trying to get me. Carla was frantic. I think by that point, he made his mind up. There were tears in his voice. 3 times she called the base and urged his commanders to immediately send him to counseling. She said they did not understand him, that he would not be able to cope with the arrest, that he needed help now. She says she told the counseling would be first thing in the morning. Well, she said she was told counseling would be first thing in the morning, Monday, October 31st. So this is in October. We're leading up into November, which is the day of the article. Let's continue. But on Monday morning, Stump went to the base armory and checked out the M16 rifle, then to the pool and the diving board. One shot under his shin and his body toppled into the water. None of the startled Marines realized at first what happened. Then the water turned red. Can you imagine? Can you imagine not realizing what happened until it already happened? Sheesh. Staples prepared him for burial in his dress blue uniform, white gloves. He shined stumped shoes, brass. He escorted the coffin to the cemetery in Massachusetts. Carla never saw her husband's body. She had gone into labor, and on the day of the funeral, after the moment taps were sounded over the grave, she gave birth to their son, Asher Richard Edward Stumpf. Asher from the Bible means happy one. And of course, they got a picture of him and his little bio right there in this article, which is pretty sad, y'all. This drill instructor legit killed himself, left behind a wife, left behind a freaking son. And not only did he kill himself, but he killed himself in front of many, many people. Marines and Marine recruits. Imagine going to Paris Island or San Diego, knowing you're a drill instructor, and you're during swim week, right? Your drill instructor get on the diving board, the rifle. You know what he's doing. He throws his cover in the water. You put that joint right in his shit. Finger on the trigger, bow. Then he drops in the water. The water turns red. Just imagine. That's crazy. That's crazy. That's like, for me to think about that, it's crazy. I couldn't imagine that. So when I read this article, I was like, whoa. What? I can't imagine my drill instructor killing someone in front of the whole platoon. You know, that's crazy. But, you know, it does happen when drill instructors do actually kill themselves. But the fact he did it in front of everybody, all his recruits, that's crazy. That's the crazy part, you know. But anyways, y'all, I hope y'all liked that video. I'm going to try to come up with some more flashbacks and see how this goes. See how this series does. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it won't go that good. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see. Hope it does good. But anyways, like, comment, and subscribe. Stay tuned for more content. Got a lot coming. Stay humble. Stay motivated. Stay inspired. Stay positive. This is your boy Jay 3 times. I'm checking out. Peace.